even more important than it ever has been. And it's frustrating for a lot of people, myself included, you know, not being able to go out and do the things that I normally am able to do. So this is going to be focused more on theory. I'm not going to sit down and tell you like, do this exercise, and this exercise, and do this many reps of it, because we're all at different levels, and it's just not, that's just not the best way to do it. I just want to give you some ideas on what to do, how to plan for it, and how to progress yourself as well. So let me go ahead and get my shared screen set up here for my PowerPoint. All right. And let's see, where is the, oh, there it is. All right, so obviously these are home routines. So I've got where I was my home for my 4 years in college, the ADA chapter KDR house. And so like Joe said, I am a doctor of physical therapy, graduated from Rosalind Franklin University in 2014, went to University of Illinois, have a bachelor in science in kinesiology, and I was a pledged ADA chapter in fall 2007, obviously graduating in 2011. KDR was a big part of my life for those 4 years and afterwards, so I love that I have the opportunity to give back to you guys a little bit right now. All right, so, and actually I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see my chat function. I wanted you guys, you can either put it in the chat or just think about it, where you are in an exercise program. Think about pre-COVID, what were you doing? You know, were you into weightlifting? Were you doing HIIT classes, CrossFit, you know, running, biking, things like that? How often were you doing it? And where are you at now? How has that changed? Are you doing it less frequently, more frequently? Have you had to adapt? And if you've kind of fallen off the wagon, what is your barrier? And what can we do to get you past that barrier? So let's see. Exercise, Thomas has bought an exercise bike before the lockdown, and it's been used about 3 times. Okay. Thomas, were you doing much before the lockdown? Were you using it more frequently, or?
So no, it was kind of one of those things where I decided I wanted to get fit before I started doing that, and then basically I used it a couple of times and was looking at different smart programs like Peloton and all those apps, and basically it just was like, I don't have time to worry about it and stress over it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so we'll see if we can come up with some ways that it's not so stressful to have to figure out when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it, when you can make time and things like that. Bob says lots of walking, and it sounds like you kept it up afterwards as well, which is great. All right, anyone else want to share? If not, I'll move on to the next slide. Like I said, if you don't want to share, at least think about how it's changed since the COVID lockdowns happened. Inconsistent weather has given me plenty of excuses to not go run. All right. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next slide then. So we'll talk a little bit about the benefits of exercise. Mental health is a big one. Being able to go out and you know, do something that is bettering for yourself and your body is a big reason to go out and exercise, lower stress, anxiety, depression. I think a big part of that for a lot of people is having goals and something to look forward to, something that keeps you structured. If you are going through the program and being consistent with it. And that's something that a lot of people need right now, is some structure in their life when everything around them has changed so drastically and everything seems so uncertain and sporadic as far as what you're able to access and what the future holds for anything. So being able to help with those three things is a very important benefit of exercise. And then the ones we think of more often are going to be your physical health. All right, being able to manage your weight. If you've noticed yourself gained a few pounds over quarantine, you're probably not alone. A lot of us have done the same thing. Again, having fallen off the wagon, maybe changing your eating habits, to be a little bit less healthy, boredom eating, things like that. If you're able to keep up with your exercise program, then you can help to reverse those effects that you've had because of the quarantines. Building strength, obviously, is another important physical health benefit. Being able to more efficiently and more effectively go through your daily life, whether you have a job that's physical, you may think you're getting a lot of exercise doing that, but you want to build strength in other ways to help you with your physical job. If you are building that strength, you're also lowering your injury risk, which is what I deal with a lot with people in what I do, is teaching them how to build strength in order to experience fewer injuries. And another big one that is going to come up more often now than before, is the immunity exercise, benefits of exercise. So people that have an active lifestyle are probably going to be healthier. And for those that are healthier, you're going to have better cardiovascular function, better pulmonary function. Your heart and lungs are going to be healthier, which is important. Obviously, if you were to have issues with the current virus going around, you want to be able to have your body prepared for something like that. So that efficient heart and lung function and that healthy heart and lung function is important, as well as the general immune system itself is boosted with an active lifestyle. There have been some suggestions that there is a short-term immune system suppression with a vigorous exercise session, lasting, whether it be a few hours or whatever. But a lot of evidence coming out now is saying that that is not the case. There really is no immune system impairment in that short term. So that's not something to worry about. I think if you hear something like that, obviously studies can always change, but that's the evidence out right now. And overall, in the long term, your immune system is going to be much better for being able to stay consistent with your exercises. And so as you're going through your program, you want to, like I mentioned before, you want to have goals, you want to reach goals. And to reach those goals, you have to be able to progress yourself safely through your exercise program. So there's several things you can do to progress. One is you can add weight or add resistance. 2, you can add repetitions. 3, you can add time or increase pace. And depending on what kind of exercises you're doing, that's going to obviously depend on which one of these is the most obvious way you're going to want to advance. So let's say you have a weightlifting goal, you want to be able to, squat a certain amount of weight. Well, if you are going to do that, you can add weight or you can add the repetitions. Those are probably the two that you're most likely to do. The big thing is you want to only do one of these at a time. So let's take another example. We talked about time and pace there in those last 2 points. So if you're a runner and you want to be able to run 3 miles in a certain amount of time, well, you can run further or longer, or you can run faster. I wouldn't say do both at the same time. Don't run longer and faster. Maybe increase your amount of time or distance one for a period of time, maybe a few days or a week. And then you can think about either adding more time or increasing the pace. Not both at the same time. You know, don't go from an 8-minute mile to a 7-minute mile and add 10 minutes on to the amount of time that you're running. That's just a way that you are more likely to get injured if you are trying to do too many things at once. Focus on the one way, and then you can play around with the other one later. All right, so some ideas for at-home workouts. So one is just getting some weights, all right? And you might go to the sporting goods store, you might go to Amazon and buy some of these things and start using those. Or you can find something around the house. You know, let's say you've got a cooler of water, something like that, and you want to pick that up. You know, you can practice trying some deadlifting or squatting or something like that with something that you find around the house. If you're doing upper body workouts, a lot of times I will tell people that don't have weights at home to grab a can of soup, you know, grab a can of paint, you know, something like that, and use that for some kind of homemade weights. There's lots of different options out there, and you know, some of them are going to be easier to handle and maneuver with than others. If it's something that's too unwieldy, obviously that's maybe not the best thing to try to lift or to use. But there's, like I said, there's plenty of options, and you know, if you need ideas for something, I can help you out with that. Resistance bands are another thing that you can go and pick off of Amazon or off of any local sporting goods store. And then they're very versatile. I use a lot of resistance bands for upper body workouts, for rowing, for curls, bicep curls, for multiplanar movements, you know, going across the body is what I mean by multiplanar, in different directions. If you've been used to using cable pulleys at a gym, resistance bands are probably going to be a very good alternative to what you have done at the gym. Core stability is another thing to work on. And just, any abdominal type workout can usually be done without any weight or with minimal amounts of weight, and can be done in very small space. You know, if you're living in an apartment right now and you don't have a lot of space to work out, those are great things to do. Just find a little spot on the floor in your bedroom or in your living room. You know, you can even throw a yoga mat down if you want, and just work on some things with that. And one thing I want you to think about with that is I always have to tell people a lot that crunches and sit-ups aren't the only ways that you can work on your core. There's a whole other group of exercises out there that are great for your core, and they are going to be even more effective, in my opinion, in helping you reach your health goals. We get caught up a lot in using our abdominals to move our bodies, but that's not really what they are designed for. our core, our abdominal muscles are designed more for stabilizing. So that's why I talk about core stability. So work on and focus on contracting your core, making sure that you're able to get a strong, solid contraction with it, and then start working on upper arm and leg movements to incorporate with a stable core. And that really is the more effective way to do that. And that can help with back pain. And it also makes you just a more efficient and more powerful athlete if you're trying to get better at a sport. But you know, the health benefits of it are greater as well, because like I said, it reduces back pain greatly.
Zach, I mean, not Zach, Scott.
Yeah.
I got Zach in my mind. Bill asked a question about, is there an ideal time for cardio? Is there a better time in the day to do that?
I have not seen any studies on that. I haven't read anything recently that suggests that. And my biggest thing is just making sure you're making the time to do it, which we'll get to a little bit in the next slide or two. I think everyone's different, you know. I'm a morning person, so I like to usually get my workouts done early in the morning, and that gives me a little bit of an energy boost throughout the day, wakes me up a little bit. You know, even if I wake up at an extra hour early to work out, I have more energy throughout the day than if I had slept in that extra hour, because I've got that energy boost from working out. And you know, for some people, you might have had a stressful work day and you want to let out all your aggression on whatever workout you're trying to do. So I think it really depends on person to person.
And then he had a follow-up asking, is there some, what are some alternative core exercises that one could do?
Yeah, so things like planks are a well-known one that I like for core stability. And then anything where you are, I do a lot of different exercises where I have people lay on their back, focus on drawing in their core muscles, keep your spine nice and solid against the floor, and then working on arm and leg movements. So, you know, you might do like little bicycle kicks while you're doing that, or lowering your legs down. Your legs can be all the way straight out, which is going to be way more difficult, or you can keep your legs in like a 90-90 position. So your hips are at 90 degrees and your knees are at 90 degrees and straight up off the ground, and, you know, work on lowering your legs down, nice and easy, controlled throughout. And you really feel that burn in your core when you do something like that. I have tons and tons of ideas, and I'll share my Instagram and my YouTube channels at the end, and I've got different ideas on there for things like that. Last summer on my Instagram I did a 12-week core series where I did 12 different core exercises over a 3-month period. And so if you look at that on my Instagram page, that will give you a ton of ideas right there. All right. Other at-home workout ideas, flexibility, right? So working on making sure that your joints are able to move, basically stretches, right? For anyone who is one of those guys that likes to go out and lift a lot of weight, you've probably neglected your flexibility and your stretching at some point. I know I'm guilty of that myself. From time to time, I have to remind myself that I need to sit down and stretch for a little bit. And that, if you're not doing that, that sets you up for injury as well. Your muscles they're shortened, they're tight, they're not used to being able to stretch out the way that they normally would. And as you go through any range of motion, your muscles have to be able to stretch out and contract to be able to effectively make that movement happen. So if you're not going through some sort of stretching program right now, now is a great time to add that in. Agility training. So think of like, agility ladders or something like that. Another thing that's easy to pick up. Or if, let's say you live in an apartment complex and there's a courtyard with like little stone blocks that you've got little boxes, that you can see on the ground. You can use those as a type of agility ladder. But basically just making quick cuts, quick movements, and being able to decisively go one direction or the other. And that helps your joints to be able to better understand. I'm quickly changing directions. I'm going to, as well as working on those quick bursts of energy that you might need. That is great for people that are trying to be involved in athletics, but it's also good for the everyday person too. There's no reason that you can't teach your body to understand those quick movements a little bit better. And when you go out and do something, it might make you a little bit less likely to get yourself hurt. Running, obviously, a lot of people are switching to running right now for their at-home workouts. Not much I need to explain with that, I think. A lot of people are probably doing that for cardio already. The only difference is now you can't go to the gym and do it on a treadmill. You might have lost some options for cardio that you've been doing at the gym, whether it's an elliptical or a stair climber or something like that. But for different options for cardio, there are other ways that you can get that done inside your home. Simple things like jumping jacks, or I like to do jumping lunges a lot. Basically going from a lunge position, jumping up and then landing on the other leg. Things like that are good other options. Walking, and then any other outside activity you can think of. Maybe you take your bike out, go rollerblading, do some hiking. If you've got kids, playing basketball with your kids in the driveway, just things like that. Anything you can do to be active. All right, so then I want to talk a little bit about accountability, which kind of plays into what I was talking about earlier with, just making sure you make the time to get it done. Like I said, some people are early morning people, some people may want that midday break. Maybe some people want to do it at the end of the day. Whatever time you want to do it, and whatever time you're going to make time to do it, make sure to put a block in your schedule. If you're keeping a schedule, I keep a Google Calendar. I put all my stuff in there, when I'm doing this task, when I'm going to be gone, when I'm seeing clients, whatever. And then I make sure I put in a little block. Okay, I'm going to put in an hour for a workout, at 6 a.m. or at 6 p.m. or whatever. That way, when you look at your calendar, you see it, you say, okay, this is my time for this. I'm not going to fill it with anything else. I'm not going to fill it with Netflix. I'm not going to, fill it with, something else that's not as important. It's not going to be helping you reach your goals. And if you tend to be forgetful, or if you don't look at a schedule a lot, or if you don't keep a schedule, an alarm is helpful too. You just set it again for, noon or 6 or 8 or whatever time you're going to work out. And then you see that go off on your phone and you say, okay, this is my time. I'm going to go get this done. And it doesn't have to be a long amount of time. Even small amounts of time is better than nothing. I've had to do that several times this week where I didn't have a ton of time, but you just stick in that little bit of time. If it's 10 or 15 minutes is all you got, then that is better than not doing anything. Just find something you can do in a short amount of time and get that done instead. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be an hour and a half or 2 hours or anything else. And now is a time where you're not going to the gym like you normally would. So you're not thinking, oh, I got to drive 15 minutes to the gym, and then drive another 15 or 20 minutes back or whatever. and I would only have time for 10 minutes. Well, yeah, it's understandable. You don't want to drive 45 minutes round trip to do 10 minutes of workout, but you're at home. So you can just stop what you're doing, go put in whatever amount of time you can fit in, and then, move on to the next thing. And another thing is finding a partner. Find an accountability partner. Lots of people like to have their gym buddy that they go with, every day or several times a week or whatever, and you two go and get things done. And if you haven't been able to meet up with your gym buddy right now, you can still hold each other accountable remotely. Just find a partner. It could even be somebody in this group today. It could be, a friend from high school. It could be a family member, a spouse. If you guys that are single, maybe there's a cute girl lives down the hall in your apartment building and you've been meaning to talk to her and you want to be her accountability partner now and you guys are going to go running together or something. Find somebody that also has fitness goals that they want to reach and make each other accountable for each other. Just send them a text. Hey, I did my 30-minute workout today. Have you done yours? And they'll say, oh, no, I haven't yet, but he did it, so I got to go do it now. And you kind of use that little bit of guilt to keep yourself consistent with what you need to do. All right, so yeah, feel free to use me as a resource. Reach out. I've got my email up here. I've got my Instagram handle and my YouTube and Facebook pages. I try to put content up as much as possible. I haven't been very good about it recently, but like I said, I've got stuff out there. If you need ideas on what to look for, go ahead and look and see what I've got on there. If you're looking for something for lower body, if you're looking for something for your core, shoulders, different stretches, I've got different stuff up there, so you can take a look at that. Email me. I'll be glad to answer any questions you come up with later, and see if there's something I can do to help you overcome some barrier you might be seeing now in your regimen, and that's keeping you from reaching your fitness goals. And then there's other sources out there. There's so many things. I mean, you can go down a whole rabbit hole on YouTube of different videos for yoga poses or for other different exercises. Obviously you have to be careful because there's going to be a lot of misinformation out there on things like that, but there's tons of other resources available too. I know the gym that I belong to has sent out free trials of like Beachbody on Demand or something. These video home workouts that you can follow along with. And you can, even if you're not a member of a gym, you can reach out to some of your local gyms and see what they're offering, because some of them are doing reduced rates for online workouts or even free online workouts where they get on Zoom and they go live with you and just go through a whole 30 or 45-minute routine with you. And like I said, a lot of that's free right now because people are trying to help each other out during this time. So kind of look and see what you can find for things like that. And you may end up finding, if you try one of their free trials, you may say, oh, this is when the things open back up, this is a gym that I want to join, or something like that. So look out for that.
Scott, there's a question from Hall. Hall wanted to know, how can you best incorporate foam rollers in stretching?
Ooh, good question. And I was going to touch on that and I forgot. So thank you for reminding me. So, Paul, let me ask you, what is your experience with foam rollers? Do you use them currently?
Yeah, I have one that's a softer one that I'll use when the muscles are really tight. And then I have one that's a little bit more of a harder foam that I try to use, but I'm not consistent. And moreover, I'm not even sure I'm using them in the best way that I could.
Okay. Are you going for lower body? Are you going for like your back, or are you
Pro-
going all
uh,
over the place
It's
with it?
probably more for hamstring, IT bands, calves. It's more the lower body. Back and shoulders a little bit, but primarily lower body.
Okay. Yeah. So it depends. I mean, do you mind me asking, do you have any like issues with like hamstring pulls or anything like that?
Nothing major. Usually, it's only if I push myself too hard. But my IT bands have been habitually tight, as have my calves.
Okay. I mean, I would just say make sure you're hitting every muscle group around your lower body because everything is so interconnected. Um, if you are able to get your hamstrings nice and loose, that's going to help your low back. That's going to help your calves. And you want to make sure that you're getting everything. So get your quads, get that side of the thigh along your IT band. If you are working your IT band, like make sure you get up high, up towards the hip joint, because that's where actually the muscles are.
Hey,
Uh,
how long? I mean, how long? How long? Like, is it 5 minutes, 2 minutes? I mean, how long should I be working each side of the IT bands or any muscle group?
until it feels better. Yeah, that's kind of the cop out answer, but there really is no suggested amount of time for that. I think it really varies from person to person so much. But if you feel better after doing it for 30 seconds or a minute, then that's fine. And especially, like I said, you should be doing multiple muscle groups. So you don't want to
Right.
spend 5 minutes on one side, 5 minutes on the other side, 5 minutes on the front, 5 minutes on the back. You're going to be foam rolling all day. So if you get to feel better in a shorter amount of time, then that's perfectly fine.
All right, Scott. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So something else I wanted to touch on is that, especially for upper bodies, I like to use tennis balls as an alternative to foam rollers. So going in, hitting your pecs, hitting in between the shoulder blades, down here on your lats. That's a really great way to loosen up those muscle groups. You just go up against a wall with a tennis ball and let that loosen up a little bit. And it works very similar to how a foam roller would.
Are tennis balls better than lacrosse balls? Because that's actually what I've used for my shoulders.
Depends on how much pain you want. Tennis balls are a little softer, so if you aren't tolerating pain in that area very well, then tennis ball is a better option. But lacrosse balls are a little bit stiffer, so you're going to get more deep pressure with that. Any other questions?
I don't see anything else in chat in the way of question.
Okay.
I don't believe. So anyone have any other questions for Scott dealing with workout or how you're setting it up, your workout? Or things
Yeah,
you
I'll
can-
pop in with a quick question. Hey Scott, when all this started, I went jogging like 3 days in a row, probably guilty of not stretching, thinking 55 is the new 35, and that didn't work out so well. But so my knee, let's just say my knee blew up, right? Or got swollen up, and so does stretching, and I may have missed this because you were talking about stretching, but does stretching, obviously stretching before running is good, but does stretching have a direct impact on avoiding joint stress or joint injury?
It can, especially if they are particularly tight. Because if it is short, you may not be achieving your full range that you need at, say, your knee joint, and then your hips have to take over some of that stress because the knees aren't doing 100% of what they need to do. I like, and for running, I do like to do more of a dynamic type of stretching first, and that helps get the muscles warmed up a little bit. And then once you're done, you can go into some more static type stretching. You can sit down and do the little butterfly stretches and static hamstring stretches where you're just holding one position, things like that.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
Does that answer the question?
Well, keeping up skiing with you and Heather, it takes a village.
Yeah, as gyms are starting to open back up, I don't know what it's like everywhere else, but here in Colorado, they're starting with just personal training. The gyms where you just go in and do your own workout aren't really open yet, but some CrossFit gyms are opening on limited bases and things like that. Just keep in mind that if you have not been keeping up with things, you're not going to be at the same level that you were 2 or 3 months before the gyms closed. So you've got to kind of work slowly back into things when you do get back in. Otherwise, the likelihood of getting hurt is much better. So just keep that in mind.
Awesome. Well, there's no more questions. We can call it evening. The next program we have will be in June, on June, I can tell you the date. It will be June 17th. I'm waiting to hear from the brother who will be speaking, but I hope to have information out in the next week as to the topic and the presenter. But it'll be June 17th at 9 p.m. So thank you for all for joining us. Really appreciate the brotherhood, and most importantly, Scott, thank you for sharing all your information and making time, and hope to see you all soon in person.
Pleasure. It's fun.
Take care, brothers.
All right. Thanks, Scott. See you, man.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks, Scott.